everyone, it's Vera from Rudy Visuals. In this video we will be taking a closer look at this new tool from Datacolor, the Spyder Checkr for video. This color reference chart allows you to get consistent and accurate colors and exposure among all your lenses and cameras. It's particularly useful if you're using different camera bodies, lenses, filters, etc. Anything that can change the exposure and hue of your footage. And if you are shooting with multiple cameras and need to match up the colors in the edit. Or you shoot a bunch of different scenes in a video and want consistency in your colors throughout. So here are a few different clips before and after, all shot in S-Log3 and corrected using the Spyder Checkr. So whether you are shooting indoors or outside, this tool will help you achieve consistent results. In my work, I very rarely have complete control over lighting, so I absolutely love how the Spyder Checkr helps with that. So in this video, we will go briefly over what's included in the box, what each card does, and how to use them to get the perfect exposure and colors every time. Before we continue, full disclosure, Datacolor did send us the Spyder Checkr for video for free and has covered some of the production costs for this video, so a big thank you to Datacolor for making this possible. But regardless of that, all our opinions are expressed in this video and are always fully independent, and we haven't been told to say anything specific from Datacolor. So the Spyder Checkr for video is around £139 here in the UK, which is quite expensive for what basically is a plastic case with some cards in it. But you have to think of this of more of what it can help you achieve rather than the material value of what you get. FYI, there's also a version designed for photography, so what we get here is more geared towards video creators. The Spyder Checkr video features 5 cards, color pattern and patch cards, a grayscale card, a grey-white balance card, and a focus star card. The cards come pre-packaged in this pocket-sized case with slots for up to 4 cards, keeping them fairly protected from any damage and light as well. You can also buy replacement cards if anything does happen to them or they become faded over time. There is also a lanyard attachment included. Now I'm sure that you've seen at least one of these cards used before, but in case you haven't, I will explain as we go through them what each card is designed to do. So these cards work with vectorscopes, waveforms, and editing software. We have been using them with DaVinci Resolve, but you can also use them with other software like Adobe Premiere Pro and Final Cut Pro. So the first step of using the color checker is to set the white balance in camera to give you a better starting point when you begin to color grade. To set the white balance, position the gray card so that it takes up the majority of the frame, and then use the white balance settings in your camera to adjust it. So this could be a whole video in itself, but here's a handy chart that you can use to roughly guide you on what kelvins you should be using for what setting. And this basically ensures that your whites are pure whites and your grays are grays and blacks are blacks and so on. You can also set the white balance in post, but it is recommended to do it in camera for better results later. After that, you'll need to film the reference shots of the color and grayscale cards. This is really easy, simply hold the checker in frame, making sure that there are no reflections or glaring on the cards. You can move around slightly to make sure that you get the perfect angle that's reflection free to work with in post. Filming the reference shots should be the last step of your setup, as even tiny adjustments with the light will affect your results and should be repeated every time you change the lens, adjust any lights, or start a new scene. If you are filming outdoors, I would recommend gathering reference shots quite often, especially if there's like a sudden change in the lighting conditions, like the sun comes out or it gets cloudy, or if you are changing scenes, going from direct sunlight to shade and so on. So the Spyder Checkr actually comes with 2 color cards. The color patch card is the traditional method that creates a star pattern, and the color pattern card is a new method developed by Datacolor that creates this hexagonal pattern. So these cards allow you to make color collections using vectorscopes and are rated for the Rec. 709 color space, which, if you're not familiar with, is the color space that is standard for high definition TV. They both create the unique vectorscope patterns, and you don't need to use both cards, just the one that suits your workflow better. The grayscale card gives you reference points to adjust your exposure and will also produce its unique pattern on the waveform. And lastly, you also get a focus star card, which can be used to help you adjust focus in difficult conditions, for example in low light. It can also be used to check for any back focusing issues and to calibrate your lenses. So once you have all your reference shots and have them open in your editing software, you can start your correction process. In case you are wondering, this footage has been shot in S-Log, and I have applied the Resolve color management to bring it to Rec. 709. The correction process can be done in 3 steps, and I like to separate them into a different node. One for white balance and contrast, one for hue, and one for saturation. In the first node, we're going to isolate the grayscale card by using the masking tool and open up the waveform where we will see the X shape. The 3 big sections on the top, middle and bottom represent the 3 bars on the card for the black, grey and white, and the smaller step represent the 11 scale bars on the grey scale. Using the curves, adjust the image so that the top bar is somewhere between 896 and 1023. The middle section should be sitting on that middle line at 512, and the lowest section should be between 0 and 128. From this chart, you can also see if your white balance is off by seeing that the red, blue and green lines are not quite aligned together. You can adjust this by using the curves for individual colors until you are satisfied with the results. Now that the contrast and white balance have been corrected, we can delete the mask and take a look at the result. So here is a quick before and after. Moving on to correcting the hue. As before, we want to isolate the card using a mask, and by using the vectorscope, adjust the hue by heading into the hue versus hue curve. You will need to turn on all the colors. So this step is important as each camera might interpret colors in different ways, producing slightly different hues and saturation. To make it easier, we can turn up the brightness of the vectorscope and turn on the 2x zoom. Make sure that the skin tone indicator is also selected. On the vectorscope, you should have target points that you need to align your hue points with. So by using the curve, adjust the hue so that each indicator is in line with the target. Don't worry about the indicators not being inside the target, as this will be the next step in which we will need to adjust the saturation. So I'm going to select the last node and adjust the saturation by selecting the hue versus saturation curve. And as before, turn on the points for all the colors. So now we can begin to align the points into the target boxes by moving the curve up and down as needed. And here we have the finished result before and after. So you can see that the image is now a lot more balanced, and you can copy and paste the settings to all the shots from the same scene. So I hope this was all really useful to you, but do let me know in the comment section below if you do have any questions about this. This can be quite confusing if you're new to color correction and grading, so definitely do take your time with this and do your own research. There is a bit of a learning curve and adjustment period when you do start using tools like this one. There are also so many resources out there now, so it's pretty simple to learn, but one thing I'll say is that using a tool like the Spyder Checkr makes the whole process so much easier, and it gives you something tangible to work to rather than sort of eyeing it up and trying to do everything by feeling. It's also really rewarding when it all comes together. Overall, I've really enjoyed using this, and while it does add a little bit of work during the start of your filming workflow, it more than makes up for it by saving you so much time in the post-processing. And it also takes out all that guesswork. I also really love how convenient and compact it is. It's pretty much become an essential part of our workflow, and as I said in the intro, it's an amazingly simple tool for anyone who needs to ensure perfect colors in their video. Let's say you're working with products or brands in your video and you need to ensure that those brand colors are exactly correct. Then this basically becomes an essential tool for that. Or if you shoot a lot of interview style videos like we do with a bunch of different cameras, this is going to really help you nail down with exact accuracy that your skin tones and footage match up. I would say that it would be amazing to have an option of buying this in like a larger size, a camera like the FX6 for example. When you're setting the white balance, it really needs to have a larger part of the frame filled in, so you end up having to place this very close to the lens. So it'd be great to have that larger option. Maybe that's something Datacolor are working on in the future. But yeah, I've really enjoyed using this. It's pretty much a mainstay of my workflow, and I don't plan on going back to shooting without this. In fact, I was actually in a shoot recently and I forgot to bring this with me, and the shoot ended up being fine, but when I was editing it, it was just so much more work trying to sync up all the cameras and making sure that all the colors were consistent. So I think that pretty much tells you everything that you need to know, so this gets a very high recommendation from me. So anyway, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments section below if you do have any questions about this product or anything else. And if you found this video helpful, please do give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!